Hi, Debbie. How
Hi,
are you doing
Lam.
today?
I'm fine, Lamide. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so today, as you can see, I have Debbie. Debbie is my friend. She's an amazing person, and she's a mom of three. And today, I brought her to the channel to talk about her life as an international student, as a mom of three amazing boys. Trust me, I know that. And what she has gone through, in being an international student and a life journey in a nutshell. But before we go into all of that, Debbie, could you please tell us more about yourself and in general, what people don't know or what you'd like to share with us?
Absolutely. So thank you, Lamide, for having me.
You're
It's
welcome.
amazing to be on your YouTube channel and just amazing, all the amazing work you're actually doing with all the information that you bring to the channel. So my name is Adebowale Adebumi. People, aka Debbie.
Yeah.
And just like Lamide said, I wear a number of hats, but most importantly, the first thing is I'm me, and I'm introducing myself as Debbie Adebumi. Second thing is I'm a wife. I'm a mom of three amazing boys. I have a set of twins as well, so yeah, that's amazing. And also, I'm a two master's older degree, one in HR and one in healthcare administration. Literally just graduated last year, 2024. And I have over 12 years experience working in human resources, and that's from public sector all the way to consulting. So that's literally me in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's so nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
As you can see, she has like tons and tons of wealth of resources. And I'd like to talk about you, like let's go back a little bit. Tell us about your career, because I know, and this is just me, I know that you have like an established career in HR and you studied in UK for your bachelor's and your first master's degree.
That's correct.
So what made you like to decide to pursue grad school again, and like why the United States this time around?
Oh, that's a great question. So just like you said, I moved to the UK when I was actually young.
Mm-hmm.
So did my undergrad, went to college actually, then did my undergrads and did my first master's, and also worked along the line. And I lived in the UK for about 19 years, which was actually a great experience. But COVID happened, and before leaving the UK, I actually moved back to Nigeria first. And COVID happened, and I think with everyone else, everyone has their own story of how COVID affected them. For me, COVID was a time of reflection. We were stuck at home trying to just figure out a number of things, and I just felt like, you know what? I just wanted something different, something new. I wanted a new experience for my kids and for me personally, for growth. So I thought about like different countries. Like I really didn't want to go back to the UK because I'd been there for a long time. So I was like, okay, the United States was going to be like the next thing for me, a place for me to go to. So I was looking at different things. I'd worked in HR, I'd done HR, got my master's in HR. So I wanted to figure out how the healthcare system works in the United States. So for you, anyone that knows, the healthcare system in Nigeria, the healthcare system in the United Kingdom, those are two separate healthcare systems, because obviously the healthcare in the United Kingdom is more about like, quote unquote, it's not free, but quote unquote free is like state run. So I had experienced both healthcare systems, the United Kingdom and Nigeria. So I wanted to come experience what the healthcare system looked like in the United States. So I decided to do my second master's degree in healthcare administration, and I got that at the University of Utah, and that exposed me to the world of healthcare in the United States. And trust me, it is different for those that actually know and those that have actually experienced it. So that's different. So to your question, COVID happened. I needed to pivot to something different, something new, and that's why I decided to pick up another master's degree in healthcare administration, to explore that option. So yeah, and that's what brought me here.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, so like given your experience in the UK, a first master's in UK and then another master's in the United States, and both being a student. So like what stood out for you like in both countries and like in each of the countries, and like what felt familiar and what was like a very complete shock to you?
Okay, let's start with the shock first.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the good one. The shock was basically the way we answer questions in class.
Oh.
When I was in the United Kingdom in class, my professor literally just tells you, interrupt me at any point. If you have a question, just interrupt me. You don't have to raise up your hand, just interrupt me and ask the question.
Okay.
And that used to baffle me, because when you're coming from like Nigeria, or like you raise up your hands and before you ask a question, but my professors always told me like, just interrupt me, stop me, and just ask your question. So that I learned that, and I grew with that. So coming to the United States, I remember my first class, the professor asked a question and I saw people raising their hands and like, so I just spelled out the answer, I just spat it out. And I noticed the professor had some kind of, he gave me a look, but I was like, I don't care. And then for like 3 hours, we had that class and I was doing that every single time. Like it would say something and I would just interrupt or he would ask a question and I would just shout the answer out. And I remember after class, the professor called me and he said, David, I just want you to know that while class is going on, if you have a question or you want to, if I ask a question and you want to give an answer to the question, you would have to raise your hand before you say something. I was like, oh, okay.
Really?
I hear that's how you guys rolled over here. But yeah, so that was like an absolute shock. And like, that was definitely something I had to then adjust myself in every class to do. And just fitting into that system because later on I found out like even one or two of my students actually said to me that they used to wonder why I just like spilled the answer without anyone pointing to me to answer the question. So that was good. But the positive side, and I feel it's actually the same on both sides, is your professors are always willing to help you. They like, no question is a stupid question.
No.
Like sometimes I have students in my class that ask the question, I'll be like, I'll roll my eyes, I'm like, that's it. That's a stupid question. But the professors are always like, they answer every question. So that's one thing that's on both sides of the aisle. Whereby, when I was in the UK and, moving here, whatever question you ask, they like, ask me any question, ask anything. And they're always willing to answer. So I think that was actually similar. So I was able to easily blend into that when I moved here. So yeah, those are the key things that actually stuck out for me basically.
Yeah, that sounds amazing because I mean, personally, I haven't, obviously, I schooled in Nigeria and in the US, so I haven't had time to think about that.
But I went to secondary school in Nigeria, so I understand.
So moving forward now, as a student that being a grad student with 3 beautiful children, I'm not even a mom yet, and I know how crazy it could be. Like just me alone, like sometimes I have to my mental health can be in shambles, right? So you juggling classes, motherhood, and everything else. So was there a moment you thought what have I got myself into? Like maybe you wanted to back out at some point, and you're like, I don't want to do this again.
Let me tell you why I'm laughing.
Okay, right.
Because it's true. You see, like I say to folks that like international students like myself, your mental health will be challenged. And crying is part of the package. So just like you basically said, there were times I've said to myself that, who asked you? Who sent you? Who told you? You already had 1 master's. That was good enough. And I was not ready to obviously go do a PhD. So I catch myself in those moments whereby I'm like, I don't want to really do this anymore. It is a lot. And graduate school can be a lot. Especially, I don't really care what program you're doing or whatever specialty. Graduate school, especially if you're raising kids and you have a family, it can be a lot. But I'm super thankful for support groups. And when I say support groups, and that really helped me when I kind of was able to zoom in to understanding how support actually worked. And my support came from different areas. One of my major support was my husband. My husband travels and comes in, travels in and travels out. For the amount of time that he's here, he's working remotely. So he's here with the kids. Sometimes we are doing my assignments together, So that support right there was 1,000% in my 2 years of doing my grad school. But for the time that he's not here, my kids were going to school. I had parents at my kids' school to be like, for the time that, can you help me pick up my kids from school? Can they come and do play dates? So I used to organize play dates whereby my kids from school go to play dates. And obviously, I was not actually not at school every single time. For days I'm actually not at school, obviously, I take them to school, I pick them up. So for me, what really helped me at that point when I always ask myself, what was the point of coming to graduate school? I had to figure out my support groups, and those support groups actually helped me. I had a boss I was working for at the international office, super, super supportive because she was also a mom. She would understand I have to go for parents teachers meetings, I had to go pick up my kids, I had to quickly go do something. She will be like, I'll give you time to go do that, and if I have to make up the hours, I'll make up the hours. So again, support groups are really, really important. If you're like a mom coming back to school, a dad coming back to school, support system in various areas at your job, at school, at your kids' school. Those support groups are really, really important. So that's what literally helped me, to sail through graduate school, including crying. Crying actually helped as well because sometimes, and I think also to your question, you have to go back to your why.
Yeah.
Why did I come? Because sometimes you forget your why, and your current situation will make you feel like, what did you come and do? So just go back. So why did I wanted to do this because of this. So that zones you back into that. So you do your crying. I always recommend crying. Cry, and when you're done crying, get yourself back and you're fine, and pick it up, and you keep moving basically. So yeah.
Oh my god, that was so amazing, because I was actually gonna ask you how you dealt with yourself mentally and emotionally. I think you already took us through all of that,
Yeah.
and having like a robust support system.
Yeah.
So like again, given your experience and the support system you have, so what would you tell like a mom or a dad who is currently thinking about going back to school? Like, what would you tell them honestly from your own point of view,
Yeah.
as a mom, as a wife, and wearing different hats at different points? Yeah.
I think for honestly, it's a different vibe for a guy going back to school and you have kids and you have a family compared to a woman going back to school that that has a family. So for a guy going back to school, you probably had that conversation with your wife, and maybe the conversation is around she's going to be staying at home, or you're not planning to bring your family over with you. Those conversations actually have to happen. I've seen some people whereby their families have stayed behind in whatever country they're coming from, and the husband has actually come and he has done what he needs to do, if it's like the PhD or if it's like masters. And when they're literally done, then they bring their families over. So I think first of all, you have to figure out what works best for you before you bring your family over. The second thing you have to think about is in the United States, if your kid is not up to like 5 years old, they cannot start school. You can take them to kindergarten. You can not kindergarten. You can take them to
I think daycare.
daycare, but daycare is super expensive. Daycare is super expensive. So it's one of the things you have to also think about. Like, is that something you want to do? Do you want to wait till your kids are like 5 years old, and then when they're 5 years old and you want to bring them over, at least they're going to be starting school. So those are some of the conversations you actually have to have. Again, and to be brutally honest, it can be really difficult because sometimes you have assignments, you have teamwork, you have team presentations that you actually have to do. The teacher understands that you have a family, but you have this program that you have to complete.
Right.
And because you're also an international student, you have specific you don't have the luxury of like, I'm just gonna take a year out and I'll come back and do it.
it doesn't
You don't
work
have that
way.
luxury. So it's thinking about it that, okay, how can I have this conversation with my partner? Number one. Number two, how does this program work? Is it mostly hybrid? Is it mostly in person? What time of the day does the class actually take place? Is it mostly 6 to 9 in the evening? Is it like 9 to 12 in the mornings? And just figure out what those details are, and that would help you plan accordingly. But in a nutshell, it's very rewarding, especially whatever program you desire to do, especially knowing your whys. It can be very rewarding going back to school. I don't really care what age you're going back to school. It is just very rewarding because technology is changing, the world is changing. The way my kids learn maths now is different from the way I learn maths. And when I'm teaching them and I'm trying to help them with their homework, it's like, we didn't do it like that though, like division, multiplication.
Oh, wow.
There's a way simpler version of that. So going back to school just wakes you up your mind to like, okay, there's another life there. So it's very rewarding. Your mental health will be tested, your personality will be tested, your culture, things that will be tested, your phonetics will be tested. But just be open-minded and go for it. Well, have those conversations with the major stakeholders in your life before taking that
Right.
decision.
So I would like to add that, thank you, Debbie, for that. And I would also like to add that Debbie is talking from a perspective of an international student. So like, if you are an international student coming into this country, there are a lot of what's it called now? Like, there are a lot of things you have to consider: bringing your family, not bringing your family, finances, and all of that. But if you're already in the US, or I mean, trust me, I feel like life is a little bit simpler depending on what your current lifestyle is. And so yeah, so talking about like building support systems and building communities, I'd like to plug in like Debbie has a YouTube channel. Even though I'm still begging us to create a post content,
Yeah.
but let's just leave it at that. I'm going to put the link to our YouTube channel to the description below. She's going to be creating content on finding friendships, building emotional support, community, and all of the amazing things in between. So I'm sure you're going to love our YouTube page. Trust me. So please make sure to subscribe and like and comment as well. Is there anything you'd like to add about that?
No, I just think like one of the things that we don't really like doing as people is having those hard conversations. And I feel at this point in life, depending on wherever your stage in life is, that sometimes you just have to have those hard conversations. And just like Lamide said, my conversation on my YouTube channel will be around friendships in your 40s, friendships generally. How do you know that? How do you create boundaries? Men's mental health, mom's mental health, going back to school as a mom. And for me, just having those conversations and knowing that it's okay to have those conversations, to be honest with yourself and just be your true authentic self, because we're all going through it. Some of us don't know how to navigate it. Some of us actually have an idea how to navigate that. So that will be what my YouTube channel would be about mostly. And I might reach out to any of you to join me and have those ad conversations.
Yeah, please subscribe to our channel, please. So now I want to transition to like work life. So like you're done with grad school
That's
last
right.
year, May, class of 2024. I must say
Yeah,
class of
class
2024.
of 2024.
So now you're like in a new phase, like you've been working. So what was it like transitioning from being a grad student, working part-time to not being like a full-time professional, especially in the job markets, like in the United States job markets?
I think it actually depends in the sense of if you are, I've been super blessed to have experienced a different job market in the sense of like in the United Kingdom and experiencing the job market over here. Again, different environment, different rules, different structures of resumes. Like in the UK, we call it CV. Over here, it's called resumes. Just understanding those languages, understanding the messages and what the expectations are. But with that, having worked in a different environment and coming here, I think different organizations' expectations is different. So my advice always to like when you come into a new environment, understand what their system is, what their messaging is, what their expectations are, and align into those expectations. So sometimes just little things, you go into an interview, they ask you a question, and sometimes they're just looking for one specific word to use. So in a good example is they might ask you, tell me about yourself. You might just basically, in some situations or in some cultures or in some countries, you might basically say, my name. You just tell them your name. Sometimes you tell them your age. Sometimes you tell them where you live, and that's not what they're looking for. And in like I know in the United States, that question you can take 3 minutes to actually answer that question, because for me, when I answer those questions, I give them like, this is my professional life and this is my personal life, and it gives them an awful picture of exactly who are you? Tell us more about yourself. So, to land me this question is more about understanding the environment you are, figure out what works, find out people that have been in this environment for a long time, have those conversations. Networking can be really hard, but uh, being an introvert is not in vogue anymore. Nobody, you cannot be an introvert because the world is so intertwined right now.
Right.
So if you're an introvert, keep your intro.
Keep it in your house.
Keep in your house and be open, find out, network. And grad school for me was super, super eye-opening. It allowed me to network as well. I classify myself as an introvert, but I realized very quickly, like, you would have to ditch that, basically. So the workplace over here is different, so you just have to understand it, and you should be okay.
Yeah, so now we've talked about you transitioning from being a grad student to a professional. So now I want to let you talk to us briefly about your job until an OPT. Trust me, I have a first-hand experience. I know how it is. But today we are talking about Debbie. So who or what helped you get through that phase, and what were some real life issues you learned in that journey of just finding your feet in the trying to find a job, essentially?
Trying to find a job. What I found out It's about who you're speaking to. It's about the conversations you're having, and that would help with your networking as well. You have no room for I'm shy. I don't want to ask. I don't want them to think I'm dumb. I don't want them to think I'm asking them for help. So they don't go and talk about me. That is out the window. It's more about this person is in data and data analytics, and this person knows about this. This person is in a workplace that I really want to work in. It's okay. Do one thing that I found out that really works is what we call have a lunch date. So the lunch is just basically saying, "Oh, Lamide, I saw your LinkedIn page. You're in an area that I'm really interested in, and you're in an organization I really want to work for. I hope you don't mind. Can I set up, a lunch date with you?" And it doesn't have to be in person. It can be virtual. Actually had virtual lunch dates with people I met on LinkedIn. You just jump on a Zoom for 30 minutes and just have those conversations with them. So it doesn't have to necessarily be in person. If an in-person is better, like you live in the same area, then do an in-person. It doesn't have to be that difficult. So just job searching can be really hard. It can be really frustrating because quite a number of things come into play. But you just have to be in the 100. Unfortunately, we cannot offer you this job. One will eventually come through.
Right.
Because sometimes that can be so heartbreaking, especially when you have put in so much work in your CV. You've paid for training, you've gone to all those training courses online, for you to do a fantastic job at your interviews, and you've actually done it. And eventually, they tell you, unfortunately, we cannot give you this job. So you have to just keep at it. If you're discouraged, that's okay. You're human. That's okay. You dust it off. You keep going. You keep going, and eventually one will come through for you. And I think with the OPT, some students are really lucky. If you have got like the 3-year OPT, you guys always flex. You're like, I got time. For people on 1-year OPT, I was on a 1 year. I think this was on a 1-year OPT. The hustle is real. You have to just make sure you keep at it because you don't want that OPT time to keep going on. So network, speak to someone about it, and do that.
So I would also like to add at this point, like sometimes if you receive a rejection letter, and I like to say this, you're not the problem.
No,
you're not the problem. It's just like a new environment.
That's right.
A new set of people, new set of rules, and trying to find your feet in this new community. So
That's right.
you're not the problem. Keep applying, receive rejection letters, apply again.
That's right.
And make sure you're just like checking what strategy actually works and the one that doesn't work. If you have a friend who was also an OPT or was an international student and you find out that they got a job, please, that should be your new best friend. Debbie was one of the people that actually helped me through my OPT journey. Trust me, she helped me a lot. Nice that would do interview coaching. She will check my CV. She will tell me what clothes are you wearing. Trust me, you need the Debbie in your life.
I try.
In a nutshell. So Debbie, thank you so much for all of this that you said. So at this point, I would like to ask you like final question. So what is one thing you wished you knew before you start this journey? And like what is that advice you would give to anybody watching this, especially international students or a parent who is trying to make a big decision? What would you like to say to them at this point?
I think one of the things I wish I would have done before moving, especially to the state where I moved to, I wish I had known one or two people, but I literally flew in blind without knowing anyone. With that said, that was such a blessing as well for me because I coming in blind and just being open-minded, that really helped me a lot because I felt God just sent people my way like I had known them before, and they were not Nigerians. Right. And that was such a blessing for me. So with that said, I did my research before coming here, but I felt like there were some things I just overlooked that I felt I was not going to need that. So do your research, maybe jump on LinkedIn and find out people that have been here, done that, and want a t-shirt, and just ask questions. Always ask questions. Always. Sometimes you might feel somewhere is a place for you, and then you come here and find out that maybe this is not really the place for me. If you have someone that really like specific communities,
right,
just make sure like do those communities actually exist where you're going to, because if your expectation is you want to just jump in and get into specific communities and you don't find it there, you will get frustrated.
Right.
So look for those community if community is a thing. For me and my family, we just dived in. We didn't know a soul. I just came in, my husband, my 3 kids, and we just dived in. And God has just been just so amazing in that journey. If you're a spiritual person, but that was super big for me. But my thing with international students, especially, one big thing I just want you to know, wherever country you're coming from, be open-minded. Be open-minded. Come in just being open-minded. And I think you being open-minded would open you up to a lot of opportunities, open you up to a lot of people. If you're already closed-minded coming into a place, things will just literally pass you by. Like people I've actually come across in my own life are people that if I was not open-minded, I'm probably not going to be speaking to them. Just be open-minded. Don't worry about your. I think one other thing is like we worry about age. Oh my God, people are gonna judge me. I got judged about my age. I got judged in my class. I was the only one that had kids in the beginning of my program. By the time the program was over in 2 years, half of the class started having kids. So that was a blessing. So there's some things you just have to ignore. If you're one person that like age is a big deal for you, maybe going back to school is not your thing because you're going to be fighting the age war everything. At the time you see a professor come in and you're like, this professor, I'm older than this professor. What is going to tell me? So you have to. There's some baggages you just have to clear out. Don't bring them with you. Take your mind off those things. You probably heard some things as well. Be a judge of those things that you've heard. Don't just hear something randomly, especially negative things, and then take it. Experience it yourself, and if it's not for you, then you know that okay. So I think your experience actually count. I believe also other people's experience matter. Like we are sharing our experiences as well, but take what you want to take out of it, but also have your own experiences as well. So be open-minded will be the number one thing I'll tell you. At whatever point in your life you want to go back to school, you want to go to another country.
Yeah, thank you so much, Demi, for this amazing advice. Because trust me, I mean, one major takeaway I'll take away from this sit down talk is like be open-minded.
Yeah.
Be open-minded. Do your research because some people come with some stereotypical notion or concept and like, oh, I think this because of me because I am. That's it is because I am. Trust me, it's not the case. Maybe you are just late, or you are not, or like you're not even. You don't like cultural differences.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be
you don't
cultural
even
differences.
or you don't know. And just to add, being open-minded, being flexible. Yeah, I wanted to add that being flexible.
Okay, yeah. So it might just be like cultural differences. Look, like earlier, Debbie was telling us how in the UK you could literally stop your professor at any point in the class, and then she moved to the US, and a professor had to tell her, "Oh, you actually need to raise your hand," and that is like cultural difference. It's not as if she was being picked on, and I'm so glad, Debbie, for coming on this YouTube channel after a very long time.
We survived.
And yeah, thank you so much, and please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.